the reason I gravitated towards SketchUp is because of the real-time feedback. I loved it that, also SketchUp is very cheap. I also was digging on that. So there's a free version. It's basically full capabilities. You just don't have the same exporters and all that. But anyway, so I love the fact that there was real-time feedback. I could turn the shadows on, and I could see the effects of shade and shadow and the sun on my project or my designs. And I also love the fact that when I painted a material onto a surface, such as like siding or shingles or wood, it looked like siding, shingles, and wood. So when I was designing, it actually looked like what I wanted it to. So it was that real-time feedback. One of the downsides of it, though, is that it's not photoreal. It's got this sketchy look, and that's cool for schematic design, and it can be charming in its own way. But in reality, I liked, and everybody seems to really like, photorealistic renderings. And so there was always a struggle of using like plugins in SketchUp and using like Maxwell or 3D Studio Max or some of these other like external rendering programs. They were impossible. I had such a difficult time achieving any level of success using these programs. I was just good enough that I could get it to kind of look okay, and I was never real happy with it. So that's when I first saw Lumion, I had the kind of same reaction as I did about 10 years ago when I first got going with SketchUp. I couldn't believe the real-time feedback. So let's take a look at that. Let's hop into Lumion. I'm going to click on Screen Share, and this is Lumion. So we're looking at it right now. I just hit open, and hopefully my screen is sharing nice and clean. And I always have to remind myself at these webinars that I need to slow down and really just kind of pick my clicks and my orbits very strategically. So if I'm zooming through this thing too fast, give me a holler out in the chat panel. So I'm going to try and really slow things down. I get excited. I start clicking real fast. Okay, so here's Lumion. And when you first enter Lumion, you've got just a couple of tabs here, import scene and load scene. Those are for your files. Lumion comes with a couple of different preloaded models, which is great because then you don't have to go track down one of your own projects and go through all the hassle of importing and exporting and figuring that out. You can just go straight to it and look at these demos. Also, we can start a new project. So for what we're doing right now, I want to show you just some of the mind-blowing capabilities of Lumion. So let's just start with a sunny day. You can see you can start with an island, you can start with a river, hills, mountains, all these different scenes. But really, it doesn't matter which one you start with. You can always adjust it and change it to get back to anything you want. So we're just going to start with a nice, clean, sunny day. Now, to me, the ability to just hit it's a sunny day, that's like a big leap in the right direction. So the fact that like I have a sun here, I have some grass, and things are looking the way that I want them to, that's really crazy to me. So here we are in Lumion. First off, let's just look at the interface. You've got these 4 tabs over here. You've got weather, landscape, import, and objects. Pretty straightforward. Right now, we're in the build area of Lumion. I know that because over here, this tells me I'm in the build area. So over on this side, it says build, photo, movie, and files. So these are more like housekeeping type things. So build is where you're going to add all of the objects and kind of adjust the effects and materials that you want to happen in Lumion. Photo is where you're going to take pictures, and movie is where you're going to create movies. So we'll look at all those in just a moment. Always know that at any time you can just hover on that question mark, and it will pop up with a bunch of tips that really just kind of keep you moving forward. You know, I made those points about Lumion is fast, Lumion is easy, and Lumion is business intelligence. And I guess before, you know, we don't want to keep that a mystery, Lumion is fast. So Lumion, you saw how I opened this up. We've already got clouds, we've got sun, we've got terrain. It's really fast. Everything just moves. It's all based on your graphics card. So typically, rendering goes through your processor, and that figures out all the light bouncing around and what that light does and radiosity and all these different things. Well, Lumion doesn't really use the processor to do that. It's more like a video game, like on the Xbox or like Grand Theft Auto or Battlefield. It's just instant real-time rendering. And that's the engine that Lumion is running on. So that's what gives us this insane speed of rendering. Now also Lumion is easy, and I mentioned that because it's really not a modeling program. It's just a rendering program. So you do all your modeling wherever you're comfortable, and it's very easy to just move that right into Lumion. So most users are up and running in like 2 hours, up and rendering. I mean, it's very, very, just very easy to get started in here. And we also at LumionUSA.com, on the tutorials tab, we do have a Lumion 101 class. My main man, Dan Tall, put those together, and they are really helpful. And I actually use those to learn myself. And so they're really get you up and running, and we've got Lumion 201 coming very soon. That's going to be some more tips and tricks. So watch out for those. Okay, so I'm going to take my mouse off that little question mark there, and let's see. What are we going to do here? So first, we need to navigate. So it's a little different the way navigation works. If you right-click and drag, you can look around. If you push on the W key, you can move forward, S moves you back, Q moves you up, E moves you down, and A and D moves you left and right. So it's a little bit different than what I'm used to coming from SketchUp, but it should be pretty familiar for some other 3D modeling programs and definitely the video game world. So I'm going to just kind of zoom up a little bit and look down and check this out. We have these options for terrain. What I want to do here is I'm always torn. Do we show some stuff that's really cool for the landscape and the big sites, or do we show stuff that's really cool for the architects? And so today we're going to do a little bit of a mix between that. So let's see. Let's go to our landscape and check this out. We have a raise button. So I can just kind of mound things up. Now watch what happens when I start mounding it really steep. Unbelievable. The rocks start to form. I don't have to model all that stuff. It's unbelievable how fast you can just mound up an enormous site. So Lumion does a great job of handling like square miles of rendering. No problem at all. So you can see that you can kind of do this, and it's not real accurate. I mean, I'm just kind of using this brush. I can change my brush speed and my brush size to do different effects here. But you can see it's not real accurate. So keep in mind though that you can always use your 3D modeling program to come up with a really accurate site plan. So what we're doing now though, we just want to represent a lot of geometry and an expansive site. So let's go over here to our terrain button, and here's something called Make Mountains. When I click on that, I'm just going to float myself up to the top here. All right, so we just generated a bunch of mountains. That's pretty slick. So one click of a button and you can just generate a bunch of terrain. Now these mountains are cool, but I think I'm leaning more towards like a Lake Powell effect. Look at that. So you just click on this button here and you can choose your landscape. So you have all these different options. I think some of them are like snowy and icy, and there's really just any option here for anything you need to create, like nice green mountains. That looks pretty cool. Let's stick with the Lake Powell effect here. I dig on that. Okay, so now I'm going to hold down Shift because that makes me go a little bit faster, and I'm going to start zooming over here. And this is an effect that just blows my mind, is adding water. So in the past, there's a few things with rendering that have just been an absolute bear, and one of those is water, for sure. So what we can do is go over here to where we can add water. We can choose the type of water. So I'll click on that button to choose the type. Now let's see. I prefer like this tropical water. Let's do that. Here's mountain water. Let's go mountain. That's kind of where we're at. All right. So I've chosen my water, and then I'm going to click once to place my water. Now at this point, I can just kind of stretch the water like this and like this. And then let's raise it to where we want it. So I can kind of move it up, and it's starting to fill in. All right, so there we go. So just like that, I have water, and let's zoom in on that water, and you will not believe how real this water looks. I mean, it's just so easy to create these enormous sites with these awesome effects. I've never had this kind of success so quickly with any modeling program. And we're going to just set up a quick scene on the beach. So what I'll do is look down here, and I want to go back to my modeling tool. So we have to raise some of this. Unbelievable. Look at how the water just responds. So let's turn down my brush speed and just kind of smooth some of this down a little bit. Okay, so now we got a beach. Also, if you want to add different materials, we can go to color. And check this out. We can go and, like, let's see, let's paint some of this. Oops. Okay, let's adjust our brush speed. There it goes. All right, so you can just kind of paint whatever you want, whatever you need to do for your site, and get it to look the way you want. Okay, so we'll just kind of paint over that and add some sand. Unbelievable. Now, when I zoom down in, I mean, even like going underwater is no problem at all. I mean, look at the way the light is responding to the water and the terrain. I mean, it's just so real, and it's just so easy. Okay, so now we have some objects as well. So we've got our little private beach here, but now let's give it some life. Let's go to our objects. One of the coolest things about Lumion is that all of the trees are like pre-animated. So they already kind of blow the breeze. And look how many trees we get. So this is the entire nature library. So we've got leaf small, leaf medium, leaf large, pine, palm, grass, plants, flowers, all this stuff. And on each one of these, you've got a couple sub-menus too. So I'm going to go over to our palm trees. And let's just drop a palm tree in there. And I click there, click there, click there. Let's choose a different palm tree because that's what makes it look real. And we'll add a couple more. All right, so now we've done that. Let's maybe just look at like some of the flowers. So we'll go over here to our flowers. And then let's see, we could just, not the most realistic beach, but hey, it looks cool, right? All right, so we'll add some of those. Okay, and then let's throw some people on there. So you can see that we have nature. That's what the library that we were just in. We also have transport, sound, effects, lights, outdoor people, and indoor, which is like furniture and all that. So let's go to our people. So I just click on there, click on here, and now I've got all these people, pets, birds, animals, lots of options here. So what we're going to do is go with our guys, and let's see, we got a guy here holding a surfboard. I don't know how much sense the scene is making, but we'll throw him in there. And then I'm going to rotate him around. So I can just hold the R key down, and we can rotate him around. And let's now go back, and we'll give him some company. So we'll go here, and let's see, we have, okay, so now they're hanging out. And then we'll go and look around this way, get a few trees in our frame, and then let's add a boat. So we'll go into our objects, go to a transport, and let's see, we've got in our transportation library, we'll go in here, and we've got all these different boats, cars, buses, all kinds of stuff. Now, let's see, we'll go with the sailboat. And we'll just drop that in right there. All right, so now I can hold down my R key and just choose where I want that to sit. So like something like that looks pretty cool. All right, so this scene is starting to come alive here. Now check this out too. Our environment. This is one thing. It's just there's so many of these. What I took away from Lumion is that everything that was so hard in the past is so easy. So you're like, all right, I want it to be more of a sunset scene. So you can adjust the sun heading. And let's do this. Bring that sun around. There it comes. Okay, so there's our sun. There's sunset. Maybe our clouds. You know, let's not set the sun just yet. And you can just slide your clouds. I want it to be a nice clear day. And now watch when I slide it to the right. Let's add some more clouds, and there's a more overcast day. But who wants that at the beach? So we'll give a little bit of cloud. You can choose different cloud types. So you just click on here, you go and say, all right, these are cool clouds. There's a different type of cloud, and let's just drop off a little bit of those. So, I mean, things that used to take so long, just, you know, finding the backgrounds and the sky tones and just getting them to render right, getting the water in there correctly. What a hassle. And check it out. Our people are already animated. I mean, this guy's like looking out over the water. So if you do animation, all these characters are already in motion. Okay, so here we are. Now, let me click on render. So, let's go to our photo option over here at the right. Now, here's where we go and set up camera. So I could just say, like, all right, let's store that camera, and then maybe I want to like zoom over here, and let's take another one like this across the water. So just over the cameras. So you can see how it's pretty easy to set up these different views. Now, when I click on render in any other program, I would be getting up and walking away from my desk, and I'd go get coffee. I'd probably even go home for the night and go to sleep, wake up, come back in the morning, and find out that something didn't quite render right. But here's what we're going to do. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find, here it is. Okay, so we'll just save this here. We'll say test, or we'll say beach 1. Watch how fast this renders. Okay, so over here you can see the different passes going on. So 7, 8, 9. So this is going to take, I don't know, maybe like 10 or 15 seconds to render that scene. And what we were seeing was not exactly what it's going to look like, because when I actually open it, it's even more sharp and crisp and clear. Just the effects there, it's just, I find that to be mind-blowing, the ability to have this level of success so fastly. So, all right, so there's one rendering we've created. Okay, so I'm going to back out of that, and let's go back into Lumion, and let's see. Now let's look at the build area again. What happens when the sun sets and that goes down? I mean, look at that. It's like it does it all for you. So now we've got the sun setting. We can go back to our objects, and let's give our characters here something special, like a nice little beach fire. So here we go. We'll say nice bonfire. And we'll just throw that like right here. And then let's just scoot that up a little bit closer to them. All right, so now you can go back to your photo mode. Go to your saved view. And let's see, maybe we want like to scoot over a little bit to kind of frame it a little bit better. Something like that. So I'll update my camera, hit render, and we'll call this one Beach 2. Okay. So there's our beach is rendering, and we've got a request for adding some smoke. I got you. That's no problem at all. So there's our fire. Let's go back into our build mode. We go into our special objects, and here's smoke. So you can choose a little, a lot, whatever makes sense, and just drop some smoke on there. I mean, it's just unreal how fast and how easy. That's my whole thing here. We've got a tree floating in the water, so let's just go to our erase on nature and just get that tree out of there. So, pretty cool stuff. Now, this is an example for a very large site. So I understand that this isn't really exactly how we design, and this isn't like exactly a realistic project. But just keep in mind that if you have anything that involves water and the sun setting and fire, smoke, I mean, all these effects are so easy. This would be a really cool animation, actually. I should probably do that. But, okay, so what we're going to do now is go back to our files, and we'll start a new file. We're going to go to New, and let's see. Before I do that, let me show you something in SketchUp. Okay, so still sharing my screen. I think we're doing all right here. I'm going to open this model. So I'll go to my desktop under Lumion is Business Intelligence. Okay, so now check out this model. This is the model from my book, The SketchUp Workflow for Architecture. So this is a project that I've been using over and over and over to just really flex all these different systems and softwares. And so now I got to zoom out a little bit, and I'll stop zooming so that we can catch up if you're seeing a lag there. But keep in mind, this project is like straight out of the book. This is what I use to create construction documents. So this model is actually all sliced up in such a way with all these different scenes that I've produced my construction documents. Now, what I do is I go to File, Export, 3D Model. So I was blown away at when I exported my 3D model to a Collada file. I was completely expecting something to be lost in translation, some kind of sloppy geometry. But what I got was the opposite. Just a perfect clean import. So I'm not going to export that because it takes a little bit, but let's go look at our sunny day. Looks like we have a question here about Revit. Revit absolutely will work as easy. There's actually a Revit exporter that's designed specifically for Lumion. So very clean exports out of Revit, and really Vectorworks and just about any of these 3D softwares nowadays will send it out to Collada. And that's really what you need. Lumion 4 is coming out this month, or we're hoping it's coming out this month, very soon. It's already been announced, and there's going to be a new feature in there where you can have a direct SKP SketchUp import. So moving forward, there's going to be, at least for me, there's going to be no more exporting and importing. It's just going to be import. It's pretty cool. Okay, so let's bring that model in here. Let's go to Import, and we're going to add a new model. So I'll click on Add a New Model, and here's I just created a folder for today for our webinar. So here's my row house Collada file. It's a .dae. So I'll click on Open, and it looks like I've already got this in there. So I'm just going to throw a couple numbers on there and say Add to Library. That kind of goes against my whole extreme organization theory, but it gets the job done for right now. All right, so just a moment while this imports, and then we're going to place this model. So there was a question in there, can I use Google Pro to bring in their model? So absolutely, any SketchUp model you can essentially export to Collada and pull it in here, no problem. All right, so we've got our model in here. I'm going to click once to place it, and there it is. All right, so I'll hold down Shift to kind of navigate faster while I'm using my navigation keys. And I apologize if it's getting a little bit laggy, but let me get to a better spot here. I'll zoom over the top, and let's just look at this from the corner. Oh, we need this corner. Okay, so now I'm going to just drop down a little bit. Okay, so here's my model. Now, I need to position this model. This is more realistic as far as I'm concerned for a workflow. What you really want to do, it's got to be perfect, right? I mean, if we're building something and representing it, it's got to be perfect. So I build all of my site that needs to actually be represented accurately in SketchUp, because I'm able to import all of my topography lines and drape my mesh and do everything I need to do in there. So this site is exactly as I want it to be. So then what I do is I'm just going to move my model straight up a little bit, and you can see that it was dipped below the ground plane. So now it's just kind of sitting up a little bit higher. There we go. All right, so now we've got our model imported. And again, this is where I was blown away. This level of success, like right here, I mean, just the ability to kind of adjust the sun and the clouds and the sun heading, to get a photoreal rendering that quick, it was pretty nice. We have somebody commenting that they're not getting any sound. Make sure that you're dialed in on that little, you click on the phone icon and join the audio conference that way. If there's a lot of other people not getting sound, please give me a holler in the, I think we're doing okay with that. So number 44, give it a shot on the phone there. Okay, so now I've got my model imported, and in my experience with Lumion, really the only material that doesn't render the way I want it to right when I pull it in is glass. So let's add a material. So I'm going to go to my Import tab. I'm going to click on Edit Materials, and then I'm going to click on the model, so that's the one I want to edit the materials on. And then as I hover around, I really like the way that this interface works. It kind of calls out the material and what you're clicking on. So what I need to click on is the glass. So I'll click once there. Oh, didn't quite get my click. Oh, I'm sorry. Add a material, and then click on the translucent glass. And that brings up our editor. I can click on Custom, and then you can just tell it, this is glass. And when I do that, now it's rendering the way I want to. So now I'm seeing inside, I'm seeing the staircases and the blinds and all this stuff. So really, that's the only material on here that I need to mess with. It's worth noting, though, that there's all kinds of different materials that with Lumion. So you got tiles, grass, ground. One thing I'm super psyched about is in Lumion 4 is 3D grass material. That's going to be killer. So can't wait to get my hands on that. Okay, so we've got our materials pretty much where we want them. And if you looked at that, if you looked at the album that I sent out, this is the model, and literally this is as far as I went with my materials coming out of SketchUp. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add some objects. So I'm going to click on the little check sign and say we're good to go here. We'll go to our objects, and I'll go to nature, and then let's go select a different library. So let's go to plants, and look at all of these different plants, tons and tons. So toward the end here, we've got a cool hedge. All right, so ivy hedge, long. I'll just click there, come over here, and click place it. Now, I can zoom around. I mean, it's just like playing a video game. I love it. All right, so now here's my hedge, and then I can just kind of move this object over here. I can hold down the R key and rotate it, and then I can scoot this over back behind there. Beautiful. All right, so now I'm just going to hold down the Alt key and make a copy of that. And you can imagine, you know, once you get going in here, it's like any software program. I mean, at first, you might struggle a little bit with adding objects and navigating around. But the good thing is, it's not a modeling program. It's a rendering program. It's fun. You just start dropping all this stuff in there, and you create your scene. So let's do some more of that. We'll go back to our nature library. Here we got some rocks. All right, so let's just add a couple rocks. We'll go with this big boulder right there. We'll put one there. You can drop one there. Go back and change that. And let's choose a different boulder. And we'll do one there. And we'll put one here. And then we can go back into our nature, go to our plants, and let's just add like a, I think there's, oh, here's like a little cactus. That's kind of cool. Yeah, something like that. So you get the idea that it's really, with that extensive plant library and the speed, the instant feedback here is where you just really are going to blow away any other rendering program. So let's take a look at that. Let's look at what we've done so far. We'll go to our weather, and you know, let's just, you know, you can adjust the sun heading. Like I think it would probably look good if both sides were in the sun here. All right, so there we've just sun heading. And let's go to our camera, and you can adjust your focal length, so you're kind of zooming in and looking up. Let's lower ourselves just a little bit, like that. All right, so now this model right here, I'm just going to click on render, and we're going to call this our row house 1. Watch how fast this renders. This is a decent, I mean, this is a pretty real project. I mean, this is a rather large, I mean, there's a significant amount of geometry in here, and it renders here. I'm not, I should have a stopwatch running, but that was like maybe 12 seconds max. Okay, so let's go look at that image, because they always look better when you actually open them. That is just a mind blow for me. That level of success to render that model, unreal. So we got a couple questions coming up here. Let me get back into Lumion. So one person asked, how do I get Revit materials to come across better? So as far as Revit goes, I would be glad to work with you or anyone to take a look at your model and see what's happening with those materials and make sure that it's going to work right for you and your workflow with Revit. But my guess is really if your materials aren't rendered the way that you want them to, you just go into the material editor and turn those materials into Lumion materials. And so you would go in there in your build mode, and when you're editing, I'm not going to go all the way in there right now, but I'd be glad to work a one-on-one demo with you, no problem. But yeah, you would just go in there and you choose the different presets that are already assigned for all these different materials. And I'm positive that they'll come across just absolutely beautiful. There shouldn't be a problem with those materials. Also, do they have a perspective corrective lens? So oftentimes, I mean, this is rather distorted, so it's really more of like your depth of field. So I think a lot of the times people get thrown off by this slantedness of the perspective. So if I just like adjust that and then zoom myself back, that's our depth, our focal length. So you start to get more of like those lines become a little more straight up and down. So so something like that. And we can even just save a camera. That's cool. Okay. So let's see, where are we at now? Let's take a look. I'm sorry, big print. Right now, we can go up to poster size. So if you think about it, 76, 8 by 43, 20, it's rather large. I mean, that's going to, I could stop out there, but if I had to guess 24 by 36, if something like 70/80 wide, divided by 300 per inch. So you could print 25 inches wide at an extremely high resolution. And truth be told, I would even double that up if I was making boards. No problem. So you can really export at a very, very large format. All right, cool. So, okay, so let's go to our files here and okay, now we're back in Lumion. We'll go to our files. What I want to do is open up the model that I've actually created. So we're going to import a full scene. So here we are. I have my BIC row house. I'm cheating a little bit. It's kind of like a cooking show, right? I've got everything all set up. But I showed you how to drop these plants in there, and we have all of our, now we have a car, we have a stop sign, we've got our street lights. And we've got all this stuff dumped into the scene, and that's going to take just a moment to load. Give me just a second here. Unreal. I'm running this on screen sharing, and I've still got it on a high res, and I'm running this on a $1,200 Dell laptop. Pretty killer. All right, so check it out. We've got all these people in there. We've got trees. We've got just really we're making the scene. And so what I found as I was getting into Lumion and becoming the huge fanboy that I am, is that once you put this scene together, you become an architectural photographer. So cool. So check this out. This is what I find to be different. This is what really sets Lumion apart. All right, so look at this rendering right here. This is your typical architectural rendering. Anytime in the past when you've gone and said, hey, we need a rendering of this project, I guarantee you that they're going to put you right on the corner of the building. They're going to give you as much of the building as they can, and they're going to take a snapshot, and they're going to charge you probably, I don't know, $750 in the States, $1,250. If you send it overseas, you're paying close to $400, $500. So what I found is that these renderings are great, but they just don't really explain the project. If you open up Architectural Record or Dwell, look at how a photographer explains a space. It's not always with this. I mean, this is an important shot, but you want to get the details. You want to get in there and check out, like, what is it like to be up here on the roof patio? What about these detailed shots where you're getting like the railing, or what if you go here and add you just want to kind of hint at the solar panels, and then you can add effects. So like, for instance, as I'm being the photographer, I can just go over here and click on New Effect. So we've got like world effects, we've got weather effects. Weather effects, you can just make it snow, you can make it rain, you can make it fog. So check it out. I mean, make it snow. Just like that, we have it snowing. It's unbelievable. I find that to be really impressive. So I'm going to remove the snow for now. That's not really what I was getting at. What I was getting at is our camera effects. So one of my favorite camera effects is depth of field, and I apologize, we've already got that in there. So let's back out of here. Move one over. So depth of field. Let's turn our depth of field on. Now, depth of field, I find that to just really add that sense of realism. So, like, see how everything's getting blurry in the foreground, but this stuff is kind of clear? You just slide these around. Let's get our f-stop distance there. All right, so, and what I want is for my, there we go. I want my solar panels to be in focus, and I kind of want everything else to start blurring out. So maybe something like that. I mean, it's just a really cool effect that it's a real lens effect. Just puts it out of focus and then render it. I mean, this is a pretty big model at this point. You know, we've got a bunch of trees and bushes and people. And when I go and render this, we're going to call this one Row House 2. I'm going to hit Enter. Let's see. This scene is going to take 1, 2, 3. It's probably going to take like 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Keep in mind, too, that I'm running the screen sharing, and it's pretty heavy on my graphics card. So we'll let it render, though. I mean, I can wait for this. But when you have to wait overnight for a still, or you have to wait a couple hours to the afternoon, I mean, this is what and make changes. I mean, isn't that what this is all about? Is we're going to present these images, and we're going to redline them, we're going to mark them up, and we're going to go do it again, because it's part of the design process. So it's a tool, just a much faster tool. Okay, so there's our rendering. That's killer. Let me back out of there. Okay, so let's now go back to our build mode. I'm going to go to this front view and then click on my, we'll hide this for now. We don't want to see depth of field for this stuff. And I'll go back to my build mode. Okay, so what happens when the sun goes down? This is another one of those things that I think I mentioned, that my impression of Lumion is that everything that was just absolutely impossible previously is now extremely easy. So one of those being night renderings. I have never had success with night renderings until I got Lumion. Watch how easy this is. I go in here and go to my objects. I'll click on my light object, and then let's choose which light we want. So here's our lights and utilities. We've got all these different beams happening. So you just kind of pick the one you want. We got a couple over here too. and we have Omni lights. So those are kind of a familiar thing that just shoot light in every direction. So let's stick with, this one looks pretty cool. And there's a light, there's a light, there's a light. I mean, it's just like ridiculously easy to make this thing work. So let me go back here and deselect all. Okay, so now let's go to our first night view here. Oops, I'm sorry. What I meant to do, let's go back to our build mode. So you can see now that these lights are like real time. I mean, if you want to move the light around, it's like moving a flashlight through your model. It's really ridiculous how this real-time rendering and this real-time feedback starts to affect your design. So what I've done in the with my efforts and the workflow that I've found to be the best is like in SketchUp or my 3D modeling program. Let me just trash the lights real quick. What I do is I'm just going to turn the sun up a little bit, just so I can see what I've done. Okay. All right, so you can see that I actually built the can lights in there. So that's where I would go to my objects, and I'd just be real accurate with it. And I'd say, all right, there's one there. There's one right there. And here. I mean, just like, again, this level of success, to me, the ability to actually light that up, and then all I have to do is hit render, and I've got this shot like really, really clean. To me, that's just amazing. So let me go back to my files and back to the cooking show approach, and we're going to import our night scene. All right. So that might take just a moment to load up here. All right, so here comes our night scene. Just a few more seconds. I've been rather impressed too at how Lumion is able to handle massive amounts of geometry. To me, that's pretty wild. It's just like, it's just so fast. And when I put the sun down and I get my clouds, I get my moon and my stars. I mean, we can go with a cloudy night. We can go with just, all these effects. It's just so fun to play with. So now I will say, though, that once you start dropping a lot of lights in, so you can see here it's just thinking for a moment. That's okay. You do start to tax it a little bit, but check it out. I mean, I'm still flying around this model. It might be a little bit laggy for you guys, but I'll kind of get over here and pause for a moment and look at this. So there it is. Now let's go back into our photo mode, and I'll go up here and I have all my same scenes saved. Let's render a night scene. I want to show you just how fast these render. I mean, again, it's same deal. There's our night scene. You just click on render here, and you can call this one row house. We'll say night 1. So we'll let that one cook for just a moment, and I will say, there we go. Okay, so we've looked at, while this renders, we've looked a lot at working with, or so far we've worked with huge expansive sites. We've messed around with these daytime stills, nighttime stills. You can see this one's probably going to take like maybe close to 20, 30 seconds. Again, totally reasonable to me. So let's when this one finishes up, we're going to take a look at creating an animation. And the animation is like, I mean, to me, that's the final frontier. I mean, rendering at night, that's one thing, but rendering an animation, a photoreal animation with people walking at night, that was something that I never even thought to attempt. And again, it's like Lumion makes these things that were previously impossible just easy. I mean, it's just unreal to me. So anyway, we'll go over here. Let's look at that rendering that we just created. So here we have our folder, row house night. Outrageous. 20, 30 seconds, enough time for me to go on about animation. And here we have our night rendering done. I mean, and you can imagine too, you saw me placing objects, you saw me placing trees. There's not that much stuff in this scene, but I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied there. All right, so now let's look at the animation effects of Lumion. So to do that, all I do is go over here into the movie mode. And in movie mode, I probably should have used our daytime render for this. So, maybe I'll do that because the animation part, no, it looks pretty good. So it does slow down a little bit. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the quality of my viewer. I'll just tap F2 on my keyboard, and that should lower my quality down. And then that'll make it play a little bit better. So what I want to talk about though is it's not going to be quite as impressive to see this animation effect on a webinar because it's awfully laggy and it's a lot of data coming over on there. But you'll be able to see that, like, you can have this clip. We have this first clip, and I hit play, and it's just kind of circling around the model, so you get an idea for what you want that clip to be. So I'm going to pause that, and we'll go over here to clip number 3, and let's click on record. And really all you do is navigate yourself to a place in the model, and then take a snapshot, navigate to the next spot, take a snapshot, and Lumion will string together those for you. So, I take that back. Let me give me just a few seconds here to go to my files, and I'm going to import this day scene because it's just going to run a lot smoother. I mean, when you have a lot of lights, it's definitely very, very possible. But with all the screen sharing and everything I got going, we're going to just switch back to the day scene, which runs a little smoother. We have a question here while this is opening. Can you make it open doors instead of going through them? Do you have settings so you cannot go through walls? So some of the intricacies I'm not totally aware of yet. I'm still, I've had some success with Lumion. So as far as opening doors, that is not possible as of now. The doors don't do that. And because all the doors, they're built in your 3D modeling program, and once they get into Lumion, they're not really they're not smart objects in Lumion. It's just geometry. And then as far as a setting so you cannot go through walls, kind of like a clash detection type thing, I think hold down Alt or something while you're walking in SketchUp to do that. I don't know of a setting like that, but I'm going to review these questions and make sure that I got all my answers right. And if you send me an email, I'd be glad to research that for you a little more. I do not know of a setting like that. Okay, so let me go to my move mode. And let's see. Okay, so we're on clip number 3. I'm going to click record. And all I have to do is use my familiar navigation. And picture yourself as like a movie director, You can really do some cool stuff here. So maybe I want to just go flying by and get that B-roll footage. I think that's what really sells the design, is not just the overall big bird's eye view. I want to go from let's go a little bit further this way. And I'll just adjust the camera like that. And then take a snapshot. Okay, so now I'm going to navigate to the left and just kind of scroll right along here. And then I'll take another photo. Okay, so now my clip is set. I click on that. All right, so now over here we can go with play the entire movie. I'll click on play and watch how this works. I mean, You can see reflections. You can see we've got this woman walking. She's not animated. You can see a person that's already animated. So as we float around here, you can see this little red, the timeline here. When it gets here, that's when it's going to switch to clip number 2. And then it's going to switch to the one we just made. So let's let that play out, and then we'll start wrapping things up a little bit. All right, so now this one, I know there's some people watch for these guys. So here's this guy cruising by. So he's walking. This is like real time. I mean, this is, to get this kind of feedback on an architectural visualization, it's so difficult. And here's the last clip. This is one that we just made. So here we go, at the far right, and kind of cruise by. So that's the thing about you catch the B-roll. It's the views that are not all of the the views that are like interesting, not just the overall or the bird's eye. You want to get capture what is the design. You can capture your railing details, and really cool. I've really grown a lot of Lumion is just getting all those shots. So we have a question here. You have to import the doors separately so you can edit them later. So you could do that, I suppose. As far as yeah, you could rotate them, but I'm not sure if that's a question, or if that's someone who's using Lumion a lot. My understanding is that you would not be able to animate those objects. As far as changing, that's maybe something I want to say about editing. If at any time you decided, okay, we want to make this window bigger, all you have to do is hop right back into SketchUp, go in to your favorite 3D modeling program. You go in, you make your changes, and re-export your Collada file. At that point, all you do is go into Lumion and reload your model. So yeah, think of it like an XREF. I mean, you just reload your model. You just click on, let's see, oops, I'm sorry, click on your materials button, and we'll click on our model. When you do that, you can see here it says reload and reapply materials. So if your geometry is changing, which it always does, I mean, why do we make these things? It's to explore our design and make them better. So totally editable. The whole workflow is very efficient. You go back, you make your changes. In my case, my SketchUp model is also producing my construction documents. I do that. I update my construction documents. I update my renderings. I update my animation. Very, very slick, very easy. So, all right. Now let me, I'll just click on cancel there, and let me, viewer number 34 and 36, I'm going to take a look at that. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I want to find out if we can animate our own doors, because that's something I'd be interested in too. Also animating a bunch of other objects, to be honest with you. But truth be told, it's nice to use the Lumion objects. You can see right here look at how the trees are just blowing in the breeze already. So a lot of this stuff is already set up for you. So very briefly, LumionUSA.com. Never, ever, ever hesitate to give me a call. 303-562-6666. Just give me a shout. If you have questions, anything that just doesn't seem right, whatever it may be, give me a holler. I'd be glad to help you out. Also, we have a free version of Lumion, 100% free. It's got a watermark on it. No big deal, though. It gives you everything you need to try Lumion, make sure that it's working with your software, all that good stuff. Also, tutorials. Here's Lumion 101. It's a YouTube playlist. It's a great way to get started. And hold on one second. So it's a great way to get started and learn everything that you need to know about Lumion. And Furthermore, we do have some events coming up. If you click on the events button, that will take you to our Eventbrite page, and that'll show you where we're going to be. We're going to be in, definitely throwing a big party in Denver here soon, and then also we'll be in Seattle next Friday, and we'll be in we're going to be in Boston and Los Angeles. So check out that Lumion page. Also, let's go look at buy. So we do have Lumion 3 Professional, and we have Lumion 3, we call it Standard. So the Professional version includes all of the library, all of the content. We charge $4,060 for the Professional edition. So the difference between the two is really, it's just the library. It's the fact that you have all this extra stuff. The Professional edition also comes with a viewer you can distribute. And then the Standard version, definitely same capabilities, animation, renderings, all that good stuff, but the library that it comes with is a little bit more limited. So what I've kind of deduced from this is that Lumion 3 will be more geared towards architectural stills, whereas the Professional edition is really geared towards stills and animations. And really the animation, that's what just kills it. I mean, that's what really everybody just goes nuts for. When you send out a full HD animation and put it up on one of those 60-inch LCD screens, it looks so cool. So there's our presentation. Lumion is business intelligence, and I don't even think I mentioned that was my main point too. The big idea here is that the cost of the software, it's a significant investment, but the truth is that you're going to recoup that investment. Lumion is business intelligence because now you don't have to outsource your renderings. You don't have to outsource your animations. If we were doing a bunch of renderings, we charge like $750, $800, $900 a still. If we're doing animations, we're charging a couple $1,000s for that. The industry rates for animations in 3D Studio Max and all these really high-end, they're like $100 per rendered second. You can do this at more of an hourly rate because Lumion is so fast and so easy. So the truth is that you're really going to be recouping these costs very quickly. You'll be offering a better service to your clients, your designs look better, and you can bill for those hours too. So anyway, if you ever want to talk more about it, just give me a holler. You guys have my contact information. There's a few questions here as well. We've got NVIDIA cards. Is it better to get a workstation card like a Quadro or a really powerful consumer card like a GeForce? So the GeForce is definitely ideal. Let me look at something here on our screen. I'm going to type in Lumion benchmark test. So if I type in Lumion benchmark, I gotta look for this Lumion graphics cards. I can't remember where this link is. Okay, so there is a link on here that I could send out, and I'm making some notes here. So I'm going to send out a there's a real nice page, and I don't have it. Okay, this is kind of the idea of it. So you can see here you've got I'll make sure to send out a follow-up email to everyone with some answers to some of these questions. So so we've got like the Titan, and you can see that where it tests and how much it costs. So you can see you can spend $1,000 on a Titan, or you can spend you know, these GTX cards, the GeForce, and the Quadro cards are really not getting you where, you know, too much higher. So I would probably lean towards spending like $300. That sounds reasonable to me. But truth be told, I'm on a Dell XPS 15Z, and it's a mobile card. I'm forgetting the numbers right now, but it actually ranks very low, but it runs just fine. It's below 1500. It's more like a 1260 ranking. So I'll send out that link. Also, somebody asked, can you make it so trees inside don't blow in the wind if it's an interior? Absolutely. So you can totally control the weather. You can control all that stuff. Sometimes it's kind of cool, though, just to see a little bit of flicker. But, yeah, you're in full control of all that. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I want to thank you very much for hanging out with me this afternoon and hearing everything that I have to say. And I apologize. One more comment on buying Lumion. The entire month of November, we are offering 10% off. So we're a brand new reseller, and if you would like to purchase a license, give me a call, and we will get you set up with 10% off. And if you're buying multiple licenses for your office, we can definitely work a little bit on the price there too. So don't hesitate to give me a call, and we'll get you a custom quote and get you taken care of. Whenever you purchase the license, we also include some of our time to make sure that you get up and running and you hit all those first projects head on and really have a strong success on those. We also do, we're glad to help you price projects and kind of get an idea of how long it should take you. So honestly, we're very friendly people. Give us a call. And if you guys don't have any other questions, thank you so much for being here, and look forward to hearing from you guys in the future. So. All right, so I'll hang back for about another 2 minutes, and if anybody has any questions, fire them away. But otherwise, thank you guys very much.